I almost saw like I wouldn't call it PTSD because PTSD is more of like an anxious negative thing. But I was having flashbacks of like January and February OTC action coming into Tuesday because I took DPLS and LK and CY overnight, and both worked beautifully. Like wasn't even close to breaking my risk. Like I mean, just morning spiked right out the open, sold into spike, and was up like almost 10K within the first 30 minutes. And that happened like almost every day throughout January and February. Now it didn't happen today, or actually, I mean, I guess I am. I'm over 10 grand today. so, no, it's good because summer trading normally, I had a lot of expectations going into July, just being slow. Like I'm going on vacation, so it's like if I have a terrible month, like my expectations were set low as they could be.
What's up, traders? We are back with Twist. It's been a little bit. We have Kyle Williams and Jack Kellogg. I'm Matt Monaco. If you're new, make sure you like and subscribe. It's actually YouTube doing a ton of cool stuff. So like, check it out. Really great channel. We had a week or two off at Twist because we all went down to Austin, Texas, did some cool stuff down there. I'm sure you guys saw it on social media. A lot of cool stuff coming down the pipe just for everyone on the Twist crew here. So it's a new month. It's July 7th as we're recording this. You'll see it in a day or two. What are you guys seeing? We're, halfway through the year. It is summer, technically. Are we seeing summer trading? What do you think?
I was talking with Jack about this yesterday. I almost saw like I wouldn't call it PTSD because PTSD is more of like an anxious negative thing. But I was having flashbacks of like January and February OTC action coming into Tuesday because I took DPLS and LK and CY overnight, and both worked beautifully. Like wasn't even close to breaking my risk. Like I mean, just morning spiked right out the open, sold into spike, and was up like almost 10K within the first 30 minutes. And that happened like almost every day throughout January and February. Now it didn't happen today, or actually, I mean, I guess I am. I'm over 10 grand today. so, no, it's good because summer trading normally, I had a lot of expectations going into July, just being slow. Like I'm going on vacation, so it's like if I have a terrible month, like my expectations were set low as they could be. And after the first we're only 4 days in, I mean, I'm having a great month. Like I think I'm between 40 and 50K. All green days so far, no big losses. Now, granted, there's like 20 some days left in the month. But definitely not summer trading that way. I think all three of us know summer trading from like 2019. 2019 we were taking multiple days off, maybe even a whole week off in the summer at times, and that's not the case so far. So.
Yeah. What about you, Jack? What do you see?
Yeah, I would say that maybe the patterns kind of are changing a little bit, I think, where it's just not as euphoric to the upside. And that's probably hence why Kyle is saying it's been really easy and Kyle's been doing really well. Just because like he's taking his singles, he's like shorting where he thinks that it should top out and it's not going too much higher than he thinks. And he's taking those singles on those gap ups. And I think all around, like it's a very solid like singles market where maybe like last month kind of got us in a little bit of like a home run mentality, kind of with AMC, like we were talking about like however many Twist episodes ago. So now I think like it's changing, the patterns are changing a little bit to take your singles, make your 10, 20 grand a day on decent trade setups, like whether it's a breakout, selling into the gap up, or first red day, covering into a panic. We're not seeing like panic dip buys aren't very prevalent in this market because there's just not a lot of huge like intraday volatility. It seems like a lot of what we've been taking advantage of is like a 1 day swing overnight, whether it be shorting a toppy doji candle and covering the next day, or buying a breakout and selling into the gap up and spike the next day. It's kind of what I've been noticing. The volume, I think, also is meeting summer criteria, especially in OTC. I don't really see too much liquidity in the market. Yeah, we're someplace have like nice volume, but it's not like a ton of volume. Like it's just like kind of normal. So that's kind of my take on it. I'm doing pretty well too. 4 green days, but no huge trades. Just like a lot of singles this week. I think I've probably had like 10 to 15 singles and maybe like 1 or 2 losses during that span. And other than that, it's going pretty well. I am looking to take some time off this month for a little bit coming up here in the next couple of weeks, and just trying to recharge for when the home runs are there.
I like it. Yeah, the singles comment really describes my trading. 4 good days, all of them green, nothing crazy. Just a lot of singles. Today was my best day. I locked in a little over 13,000, but no one like crazy trade did it all. It's just a bunch of singles that kind of all just added up. And that's what I'm seeing. I haven't traded many OTCs. I did trade DPLS. I know we're going to go over that in a minute, but mostly listed. And in listed land, there really hasn't been much follow through either. Nothing too crazy. We had NEGG, which is like the hot chick of the day. And besides that, there really wasn't any low float runners. There was just the one. So that reminds me a little more of summer trading over there, because a lot of times in the summer, you'll just get that one stock that like everyone focuses on that day because it's the only thing moving, instead of like that 5+ runners. And then you've got options of which one you want to trade. So that's what I'm seeing. Kyle, let's pull up some charts here and let's figure it out. I can start with my trade because I probably took it first on NEGG. This is the hot one of the day, and then we can go over some other trades. NEGG I've been trading for like the last 3-4 days. Just crazy. Yesterday, huge miss on my part because the trade was just so clean in the afternoon. And then today it carried on that breakout over those highs. If you look at, yesterday, just sideways all day for basically 2 straight days, and then a breakout over those highs and it ripped. That's basically a 50% spike there that you're seeing. It looks small compared to today's action, but just a huge spike. And then today we basically gapped sideways a little bit. And then as we broke over yesterday's highs, I took like 1,500 or 2,000 shares, roughly at like 32 over that morning high, like that first 10-15 minute consolidation. And I sold really well by 34.50 roughly was my best sell. So I thought I nailed the trade. I was like, nice single, locked her in. And then I watched her go to, right now it's at 72.50, which might be new high, or no, it hit 78, but it went up $35 a share more from where I sold. So absolutely crazy. Yeah, I think this is, I don't know if it started as a meme stock, like a Wall Street bet play, but it definitely is now. I've seen a lot of people talk about it, but it's gone from 10, it's at 72 now in the last like 5 trading days, which is just absurd. You guys take any trades on it?
Yeah,
I did. Go ahead, Jack.
I would say that this one was kind of under the radar for me, whereas like I didn't really see it till it was like at $40. And like NEGG, like I know this company, they like sell computers and computer parts and stuff, and I think I bought a computer off them before. So like it was kind of like a surprise play for me, which I didn't really like expect. Like I didn't really expect for it to become like the hot chick of the day, like Matt said. Like I thought it was just like kind of when I saw it at like 30-40, I was like, oh, this is kind of strange. But then like as it really went parabolic there, it really proved that like, hey, like don't like ignore me. Like there's some really nice volatility here. I thought it was a little bit difficult to trade. If you look at the price action, kind of like a lot of really harsh drops and a lot of like quick spikes with not too much follow through, where it kind of like pulled back a lot after it spiked. Except for that morning was really, really clean, the morning spike. But I don't really know, like this, I had some difficulties trading it. I did make a small amount on it, but it definitely wasn't too pretty for me. And I don't know, moving forward, I might be a little less, like I don't really want like a big trade out of this one because it kind of just like showed up on my plate today. Like I haven't been stocking it for a while. That's kind of my thoughts out there.
Yeah, there was there was no borrows to short sell it if I wanted to, which is kind of good because it's probably kept me safe. That's another trend I've been seeing in this recent market is low floats. This is a low float. We saw MRIN, we saw BLIN, we saw, I think there's a couple other ones like PBTS, BBST, one of those other names, BQRSR or BQRS. It's a lot of low floats. And I think with low floats is that like as a short seller, they keep me anxious very quickly. Like if I see a low flow running like the way, NEGG is, my guard is immediately up, because for that reason of like someone who shorted, someone like, I mean, this is a random scenario in my head, but like someone who shorted like $40 is like, oh, this is already up, 80% in the first 30 minutes, it's going to pull back. And not even 10 minutes later, they're down 100%. And that's because there's so much volume going through. The float is so low. It's such little supply and much more demand. And that's how you have a stock go from, not even 27 to, nearly 80 today, but literally from sub $20 to 80 today. So going forward, I mean, looking at the daily chart, it is really, really nice. It is like a supernova move that I would look for too short. But if I do, it's small size. And if I do, it's going to be well after the front side's done. I want to wait for the safe play. I want to wait for the most highest conviction, the highest win rate in this case. Normally I would like risk reward better, but when you deal with low floats like this, like it's just not worth stepping in front of something like this that could lead to, you just getting stubborn and holding. So that's how I view low floats in general. That's definitely how I'm going to approach this one going forward. If I even get borrows, like because they're low floats, there's usually less borrows to short in general. So I might not even get borrows of this thing. So there's really no FOMO, like Jack said, there's no anticipation of this being a big, huge trade, long or short. Probably for some longs, is a good trade, but for short selling, it's not where I move my account upward per se.
Well said. I like to be more optimistic than some people as a long bias trader. So hypothetically, scenario here, we're always going to go off on these conspiracy hypothetical scenarios. I'd love for this to gap to like $100 or like 120. And I'm not long in that for the gap up. This is the only way I'm going to play this stock is if this scenario happens. We gap up to like $100 and then we just get a huge like GME style halt panic down like 50%. Back down to like these key levels around like $50, $55, $56 here. If that happens, I would be very interested and I would try to bounce it on that one because I don't think it's out of the question to see a 50% bounce from like $50 back to like $75 or so if we get that big gap up and big panic. Those are roughly the numbers I'm looking at. I mean, if we don't gap up and we panic to like 30, like same type of thing, I'm just playing off different levels, but that's really the only trade on it for me going forward is a panic dip buy, maybe some like 11 a.m. like bounce type plays, which have come back. I haven't traded these things in like 6 or 8 months. I traded the first one today, which is a good transition to DTST. If you want to switch over to that one, this was the one I traded, just quick 11 a.m. bounce play, very simple trade. We all picked this up from Mark Crook, who's just over in the trading challenge. And basically the way it works is, around 10:30, 11 a.m., that's like the time most morning shorts are looking to cover. And if we get a base, we're not breaking low a day. Shorts are going to cover, lock in their positions. And a lot of times you'll see a little bounce. And that's what we saw here. I was watching this around 11 a.m. We had this basically triple, maybe even quadruple bottom. And I took a position right after the final low there because that told me we weren't going to break that low a day. I didn't want to buy in anticipation of it holding because it very easily could have just continued lower. But the fact that it didn't gave me enough conviction to risk that level. I think I got in at like 42, and 42 is my average. So I was risking roughly 20 cents a share and I sold at 10.18 into that spike. So a nice little 80 cents a share, risking 20 cents a share, 4-1 risk reward. It's a very simple nail bell trade and pretty textbook from a risk reward standpoint. These ones are usually pretty quick, but it is a highly repeatable pattern. It does happen all the time on these former runners. I just haven't been playing it lately because my focus has been elsewhere, but that's something I'm going to keep looking forward to. This could happen tomorrow on NEGG. And I'll do the exact same thing. because it's just very easy risk level, very easy trade for people to understand. And I'll do it all day, every day. My DTST.
I 100% agree with for those who don't know, like the 11 a.m. rule or guideline. It's not really a strict rule, but it's just the idea of like after the first hour and a half in, like you start entering midday. And when you start entering midday, like the people who've kind of picked and chosen their spots for the day are either exiting or they're done, right? So like everyone who was long overnight DTST is either selling or, getting out, or some shorts are entering. So like you have this trend. And then, again, after about an hour and a half so in, that trend changes clearly. And it's not an exact proof thing, but like you if you know of it now, like keep an eye out for most tickers you watch, and you'll notice around, 10:30, 11 a.m., the trend usually shifts, not just for bounce plays, but for morning spikers. Like a stock might morning spike all morning, and then after that, it starts to pull back and consolidate. The trend kind of changes after the first hour and a half. So that's always good to see, and that's obviously Matt nailed it there. So that's pretty sweet. Let me go over my favorite and best trade of the month so far, and probably will be my best trade of the month. I mean, granted, there could be better opportunities later, but right now this was by far the best one we've seen. NLST, huge OTC runner from $2 all the way up to nearly $6. It's had a few nice runs previously up here, but never really got going over this $3 level. Except for this day here where it did close over $3. And this was the first official time it closed over 3, which is kind of a different way for a stock to break out. I think most people think that if it just breaks over that level, it's a breakout. But I think if it holds and closes over that level, that really makes it official. And so this day right here, the 29th of June was the first time it actually closed over 3. And I actually did long overnight. I totally butchered it the next day, like sold it in the 340s. It went all the way as high as high 3s, and then all the way up to 6 a few days later. So the long side wasn't great for me, but I knew, looking at the daily chart like this, this was going to be a great short opportunity. So coming into today, or yesterday, I should say, every day it's pretty gapped up pretty large. And this day was no different. The difference is here, though, is it actually started dying pretty hard and quickly from that gap up. And I thought, if we go back to the daily chart, I thought we might have a daily candle like this, where it gaps up huge, then totally collapses. So come out to the market open, I started getting short, thinking it was just going to fall apart, all into this. And then we come back and we break these highs. So I ended up cutting it here, lost like $5,000. Very frustrating. But I did keep a small piece on. I almost kept this is where as a beginning trader, I would have never done, but as a bigger trader, I kind of am okay and willing to do, where I then put back on kept on a smaller short, not because I wanted to keep it on, but because I knew given the liquidity, it was fine. But I also knew if I could size in slowly, I can get much bigger size than if I try to get all filled all in one right here. So I kept that small piece. And again, this could have ran to 6 or 7, and it wouldn't even have been that tough of a loss. That's the point of where it's such a big count. My size to keep a little bit size on is what I was doing. So also I would say I was biased to the fact that I knew I was traveling. I knew I was going to be driving late day. So part of me wanted to have something on just in case I wasn't there. If it did go down when I wasn't there, then I'd be a part of it at least. So coming late day, we did panic a little more. And then I had to start leaving. So I started going on the road. I've gone on vacation until Friday, not vacation, but out of town until Friday. Luckily though, I found out that DAS Mobile, so I have Cobra account, or a Cobra account, and they use DAS trading stuff. I found out they have a mobile app that you can link your account with and start trading mobile. so I literally started doing that. I was watching NLST as I'm driving. I'm not driving. I was in the car, not driving. I was in the passenger seat, but I started watching it. And normally these don't late day fade, but I started seeing it fade. So I immediately thought to myself, I want to be a part of this, especially because now in the daily chart, we started having a red candle. You could start to see how the opening was 550 and we actually start fading below those levels. So at that point, I literally wanted to take a position. I wanted to add to my short. That's the small starter I had from the morning. So I believe I added on this new crack below the 530s here. once it cracked below here, added more, stayed sideways, added a little bit more into the close on this crack below like the low fives, closed below 5, which is really nice because that is the day 2 days ago's high up here in the high like 499, 498 or something. And so I had a large, I think I ended up having 40K overnight short from like a 516 average, pretty much unfortunately lower average than I want, but it was kind of in this consolidation here. I was fully prepared for it to gap up. I was willing to risk from 530 all the way up to like the 580s, maybe worst case 570s. But we didn't. We actually slightly gapped pretty even. Selling started happening out the open, and the bittersweet part is that I didn't get to add. So it was nice I had some short overnight, but being short overnight like this, that's still technically a green day because it did close green. It did close, up like what, 10, 15 cents. Isn't something I normally like to do. I normally only like to short something that's red overnight. So I was already taking a bigger risk being short overnight on a technically a green day. But this worked out because I did not feel a single share trying to add more here. So what I had overnight was all I had. Luckily, it was a big position. So I then covered it into these dips. Had a little bit left by the time the spike, cover into this dip here in the mid fours, and locked in like 25 grand. So pretty sweet trade. That's certainly a bigger trade for me in terms of definitely not an average single for sure. Left it alone late day. This action's pretty weird now. I wouldn't be surprised now if it consolidated and head higher, only because this action is like not common for a first red day. So yeah, we'll see where it goes, but I'm happy how I played it. And yeah. So
Beautiful. Any comments to add there? Jackaroo, 2 chains, Kellogg.
For me, my best trade on this was, I was actually busy the days that I was breaking out, but that morning dip out the open was one of my best trades on it when it dipped from 550 and dips right down to the whole dollar of 5, and also was the previous day's high, was a nice support level. And I got long. I didn't go too big on it because I was scared it could panic red and I wanted to still be able to get short. So I ended up getting some shares there, and then I just sold out into the 530s and 540s, and then ended up shorting that spike. And a common theme of mine is I keep covering or selling my big positions, like when I think a big move's coming right at the top or right at the bottom. So for this instance, I covered my short at like a 560 average at 580 on that new high day right there, covered at the top. Same exact thing that I did on LWLG. I covered it at 17, which if you look at that chart was also the top. And DPLS, I sold my dip buy that one day crashed with 10 million shares. I sold that at 4.5 cents and the low was 4. So that's a common theme of mine where I keep covering, I keep taking my positions off like into like the highs, which has been tough. And I think maybe that's why I've had a few more singles than not really any big trades, because I just haven't been that aggressive after I do take those trades off. And they've all been, NLST wasn't too big of a loss because it was still green on the day and it was just kind of a starter position. But anyway, I thought I'd make a big move to the downside, which it did. And I just took a bad exit, but ended up just kind of walking away there midday at 12 when it started to regain VWAP. And I was just frustrated with the price action a little bit yesterday, and it just ended up fading into the close. Didn't have a position. Probably could have shorted it below 520, but I thought it would present an opportunity the next morning to short, which it didn't. So today I got short some at like 585 average. Got a decent position off and just ended up covering that into the first morning wash in the 450s and called it a day there. And it was just a single for me. So that's all I got for that one.
We should make a parody, all the single traders. Like Beyonce. It would be pretty funny. Just saying. All right, who wants to cover Dark Pulse? And then we can close her out.
Go for it, Mono.
Well, my Dark Pulse was pretty lame. I don't like this ticker for a couple of reasons. back in February, you can see all the way on the left side of the chart. I tried trading it several times, and just seemed like every single time I tried to trade it, I just traded it wrong. It like pull on me weird. It wasn't super clean price action. So I basically avoided it from February until now. I didn't even trade it the last run up. And then the other thing is on that big $1 billion or billion share day. That's the day I know a lot of traders just took some big losses, had a difficult time. It didn't bounce. It just got absolutely clobbered. Basically, I'm sure the insiders are, whether it's a promotion or not, like large shareholders were just liquidating their positions, and there was no bounce at all. Really shocked it recovered. When Kyle and Jack were down here in Austin, we were talking about how breakout over 8 cents was going to be killer on it. Fortunately, I just mistimed it. I don't really watch OTCs too carefully these days because a lot of them, the volume's just not good enough for me to really want to trade it. So I missed the breakout, but I had it overnight last night because, it's got a history of gapping up. I didn't have a crazy number of shares, and I had a little cushion. My average was like 12.35 or so right over the high day break. Yeah, in the afternoon. Swung those shares. And then right in the morning, there was some decent sized bidders out of the gate, and they immediately got clobbered. And I was like, I'm not dealing with this stock. So I just slapped out. I had 150,000 shares. I made like $1,200 or $1,300 on it, roughly a penny a share. And then it did this weird dip. And then like basically broke all the important levels in the day before, almost all of them, and then just reclaimed and went back to highs. So I thought about trading it over 16 cents there too, but it was midday, and I was like, I've seen this before. This is where it's going to just fake out the high day break and then trap everyone and fade back, which is basically exactly what happened. If this stock does panic going forward, I'm probably not going to play it. Just, whether it bounces or not, that last time it panicked really just scared me off, and I don't want to be in that position. So that's my only real trade on it. Do you guys have better ones?
Yeah, I agree with you. What you said, Matt, about we never know how manipulated or who or what or where or like how a stock might be manipulated. But if I had to guess, DPLS is like up there. It's like, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but like there's just when you trade enough of these things and you see how they move and you see how they act, there's just certain things that like shouldn't happen. And DPLS has this written all over it. So like, I don't think I played it at all back in January, February. I definitely didn't play it, or I played it like one time back to start this first run up. Totally butchered this long side. I think I longed it over on the 11th and then sold it into the 14th, like for the gap up, like made like 5% of my gap up and then watched it go like a whole dollar or a whole cent a share higher. So didn't play it much there. I was in particularly in a tough spot on this dip buy. Didn't lose much because I was green about 3K on the long side, and then unfortunately gave about 4K back on the dip buy. So I did end up red, but it definitely was a sticky dip buy. I know a lot of traders that lost a lot of money because it just did not bounce. I mean, the insiders, whoever you want to call it, rarely should you see a stock going from 100, 200 million shares and then just 5x on a red day, on a selling day. Usually you can see 5x on like a green day because there's so many buyers entering in. But if you see like 5x volume on a red day, like that means people were just dumping their shares. So that's, I have no doubt that's what happened. And then what's even weirder is that the next day after this, and this is what kind of brought me to my attention that like this thing's probably manipulated, is the next day it just had a green day, like no big deal. Like, only a billion shares of selling. And the next day it's like, let's just go up like another like 40%. It's cool, and then again and again. And then what really caught my eye was like this action where it just kind of started really consolidating right at the highs. And that's when Matt mentioned like, right, over $8, like this clearly wants higher. Because normally this should probably be fading back, but this is holding like right there. And so I remember trying to long it over 8 cents, like I think that first green day. And there's another like thing you can see how it's manipulated. Over 8 cents here. So I started longing into these dips, added over this new high a day, and it was looking really good being in the high 8s. And then literally the last 10 minutes of the day, I mean, this thing just collapses. No news, just dumps. And so I pretty much go from up $7,000 to down 2K, and I sell my long pretty much at 8 cents here. for a loss. So that was super, super frustrating, but I wouldn't regret not selling. It looks so good that I just definitely wanted to hold overnight. It's just such a weird mover. And then I tried longing it again on this day. So I didn't play it this day. The very next day I tried longing it again because now we're over these highs. This thing kind of seems like a fake out. We should keep going. So again, I was long the same size as I was a day or 2 days earlier, but a much higher average, around I think 930 was my average in this consolidation. And then again, we kind of make a new high and then we just crap ourselves. And so that got me to stop out. I think I stopped out in the 920s. Now, normally, like I mentioned here, we dumped here and then we didn't really come back even the next day. Whereas this really ticked me off here, or kind of got my attention, the fact that we dumped and then we came back and then we started breaking out to new highs late day. And so I thought to myself, this thing's so manipulated. They've just faked everybody out, not once, but now twice. And then the second time they brought it right back. In my head, that was they want this higher. They just have shaken everybody out so that they can get them to start buying again. It's kind of just like mind games. If you're long and you just sold dead bottom and you see it go right back to where you were, you're going to want to chase it again. That sends stocks higher. And so I'm kind of one of those people where I bought then half size right into the close, pretty much at a 560 average. Then it closed at 5.7 or 9.7, 9.6, 9.7. So that was nice. And then the very next day, like I mentioned, we go higher. And I ended up selling. I remember selling almost all of it in the 11s to mid 11s. So made all my loss back from here. And then I think a few more grand. So that was really, really cool. Haven't played it ever since, but I agree with Matt in that because the dip buy on the red day last time was so brutal and so much selling, I have no FOMO for missing a bounce. This bounce that happened today, I have no FOMO for missing that because the last thing I want is to get long and then just enter the world of doom of so many fake outs and just get clobbered trying to get out. So yeah, no, thank you. I don't need that in my life. So
I feel like the name Dark Pulse is just trying to warn people too.
Yeah.
That's just,
I
stay
think
away.
it's a total scam. Just very manipulated type price action. Very hard to day trade. Only kind of clean trade I see is that afternoon 1250-ish push up to 14. That's pretty clean. Other than that, has a huge dip midday. Had the dip out the open. Had those previous dips the last couple of days Kyle was looking at. So just tough price action overall, but pretty easy daily chart read. I don't know if you guys are signed up for my watch list on breakouts and breakdowns, but had a pretty good call on that this weekend on Monday when the market was closed due to 4th of July, but ended up saying that if the stock could get over 10 cents and hold, probably goes up to 15 cents, which is exactly what it did. So the thesis was right. It's just kind of hard to execute because of all the shakeouts and the fakes and difficult price action, but the overall thesis still played out, just tough to trade.
Yep. I agree.
Let's close her out. There is, by the time this video goes out, it's probably over, but we can make it happen. There was a 4th of July sale for $17.76. You get trial to StocksToTrade, you get breaking news, and then you get breakouts, breakdowns, which is the room Jack and Kyle are in. And then you also get small cap rockets, which is the room I'm in with Bryce Toohey and John Papa. All that for $17.76. Try it out. We'll put a link below this so you can check it out, sign up, see what you think. Download the platform. It's a really great tool, really great room. You get access to really great traders, their watch list, like Jack was saying, as well as their real-time alerts of trades that they're actually taking. It's not just trade ideas. These are trades we put our money where our mouth is. So there's a link in the description below. Check it out. Because you've watched this entire Twist episode, we'll make sure the sale is still open for you. We'll extend it a little bit as just a thank you for making it to the end. And as well, make sure you like, subscribe. We do this every week. We have a week break here and there, but we're just human. So thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.